Hello, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. I'm so happy to be here for the third time with the legendary Sandy Campbell, accompanist of Broadway and in so many ways a Broadway historian. And last time we were talking a little bit how we stumbled upon Liz Larson at the Hal Prince exhibit and how she immediately recognized Sandy and went into this whole thing about how she got her first job because of Sandy. And I turned to my partner and I said, that happens every time Sandy sits at a piano. And I'm not exaggerating. I have seen that scenario so many times. The one that strikes me, of course, is we were at 890 Broadway and we were, I don't remember the show. It might have been Showboat, might have been Fela, could have been anything. And we were on a break. So the door was open and you were at the piano. You were not downstairs smoking for a change. You were actually at the piano, or maybe had just gotten back from your cigarette break. And the door was open and Cheetah Rivera walked by. And she did a double take when she saw you in the room with the door open and she saw there was nothing going on. It was just break time. And she came running into the room, leapt in the air, and she went, Sandy, Sandy. And she threw her arms around you. And I just thought that just says it. That's just how it is.
But
So
with that Chicago.
was that your first time working together?
Well, I may have played for her other times, but I didn't spend any time on Chicago. I did. I spent time with her, and
Yes.
also um, uh, Gwen's daughter Nicole and my son Todd were both teenagers, and we were in California. We were in San Francisco, and on the tour, the national tour of Chicago, and for some reason, Nicole and Todd decided they both knew how to make Mexican food. And so they had Gwen and Cheetah and me over for dinner between shows, and they made tacos or something. I don't know. We were all cavelling over our children. We all, it was really mom time.
That's
It was great.
fabulous. Great, great, great. And you did a lot of work with Cheetah on Chicago. I mean, there was a lot of like working songs in the basement and teaching things and stuff, as I
But
recall.
also the thing is that she did the national. That we did the Broadway. I did the Broadway run, and I mean she did too, obviously. And then for the national tour, I played all the auditions, and we put everybody in the show. Um, and then I didn't go on the road with them. I stayed. I was doing something else. If I knew the year, I probably could tell you what show I was
Uh-huh.
doing. Uh, but I loved doing the all the rehearsals, and I did go to Boston with them. And in Boston, we we auditioned the girls for to understudy for it was Pennyworth and
Lenore Nemitz, maybe?
no, it wasn't no. Lenore never did the show on the national tour.
Oh, she did Broadway.
Pennyworth and this girl I did Coco with her. She's a wonderful dancer.
Okay.
And anyway, so um, so these two girls. I wish I could remember names. I'm so bad about it.
Yeah, no worries. So,
The girl who played Cheetah's part for
yeah.
national understudied Cheetah's part
Uh-huh.
was was a girl who wrote a off Broadway show. I think it was called. I get Mickey Grant's title and her title confused, but it
Okay.
was like girls who something enough girls who were not.
For colored girls who have considered
Yeah,
suicide when the rainbow is enough.
yeah. Now who wrote? Well,
And
that
and Tazaki Shange
no, then
wrote
it's
that.
not right. It's another name like that. Who was a dancer who
She might have been in it. Did she write it or was she in it?
wrote it.
She wrote it. Okay.
She was wonderful. She was a wonderful dancer, beautiful girl, and she wrote this show off Broadway that was a big hit. Which, of course, I'm no help to you because I can't remember.
All right, no worries.
Uh, but anyway, so we did the show for 6 months. They did the show for 6 months on the road, and then because it went to Chicago, and then it was going to go L.A. and San Francisco close. Okay, the Chicago stop was for 13 weeks. and they expected it to be this huge hit in Chicago because everybody thought it was a big hit, and nobody in Chicago liked it. It got bad reviews.
Wow.
Nobody,
Chicago was not a hit in
nobody
Chicago?
hated. No, they hated it.
Wow.
And so after we had to do something. The show was going to close because nobody was buying a ticket. There was no audience. So somebody, I suppose Bob, I don't, or Gwen, or I actually don't know who did it, decided that we better put Gwen and Cheetah and Jerry Orbach
Oh,
in the show fast.
wow.
So the girls who had been playing their parts had planned to do the whole run of Chicago, and they knew they weren't going to do L.A. and San Francisco because they knew that they had to have Gwen and Cheetah and Jerry in San Francisco and LA for but then they expected it to sell out in Chicago, which they hated us. Man, they
Such a
hated
shame.
us.
I would have been surprised about that too. I'm just looking up here for you. Was it Carolyn Kirsch who did
Yeah,
Velma?
Carolyn was that's who it was.
All right.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dancer
Mm,
and smart.
I love that. So you ended up on tour with Cheetah as well.
Well, what happened is that I then when they went in the show, they asked me to go and join the rest of the tour, and my sons were living in LA at that time with
Right.
my ex-husband. So so I wanted to do the tour. I wanted to do it because I love the show, but I also wanted to go because we're going to be in LA for 6 or 7 weeks. I can't remember,
Right.
and then San Francisco for 6 or 7 weeks,
Right.
which is where I was from.
Now you worked with Cheetah again on Merlin, right?
I just played those auditions.
Ah, okay, great.
But I don't know. I've always known Cheetah. I mean, how can you not know Cheetah? Everybody knows Cheetah. You love Cheetah. That's the person you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah,
You know,
I certainly do. Well, I want to be Grazi.
that's true. I love
I
Graz.
want to be Graziella Danielle, but you be Cheetah Rivera, and then we can just hang out.
They're both just fabulous women.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'm curious, what are your memories of Bob Fosse? Because you worked on Pippin as well as Chicago.
I did other stuff with them too. I did other stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I can't remember all,
I'm
of
sure.
course. He was the hard thing about working for Bob was that he never wanted to stop. He would always say one more time, okay, and everybody's just dying. They're exhausted, but for Bobby, you get it, you go and do it again, and you know that one more time is not going to happen. It's not one
Yep.
more time. It's five more times or 20 more times. So that's the thing. He when he was doing his work, he was he was working all the time. His concentration, his mind was going, but he was always nice. He never said, "Oh God damn it, why don't you get it?" Never put you down.
Yeah,
He made everybody feel good. Everybody felt special, and he treated everybody in a special way.
that's
And
incredible.
and he's not afraid. I had my son Darren had married a French girl, and so we're rehearsing Pippin, and nobody knows how to spell. Nobody knows how to say the town. God, I just don't remember stuff. There's a French town that they have to talk about that uh, not Cheetah. It was not Cheetah. It was
It was Jill Clayburgh or
no
Leland Palmer.
Leland. Leland. She had to say this with Christopher, the her son, theoretically her son.
Yeah,
She had to
yeah.
say something about the town, and it was like
Yes, yes.
Aras or something like
Christopher Chadman
Chris.
was the
Right.
son. Yeah,
So they then Bob came in and said, "Can you find out how to say that name of that town?"
that's
Because
great.
he knew I was taking French lessons. So I
Beautiful.
went to my French teacher and said, "Bob Fosse wants to know how do you say this." I did. My French teacher. What Bob Fosse wants to know what do you say about it. I said, "Yeah, yeah, it's Bob Fosse, the Bob Fosse." So he told me. I went back and told Bob what to say, and he taught it to Leland.
Great.
Isn't that
That's
fun?
so great. Yeah, that must have been quite an experience working on Pippin. I mean,
Well, I
that,
did. I also did the film, and we went to Canada.
the one with Cheetah and William Cat and
That was Cheetah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also um, Ben
Ben
Vereen.
Breen, sure, yeah.
And who else was there? I can't remember. It was just great. We went to Canada, and we all stayed in a posh hotel, and we all kind of had drinks and stuff afterwards at night. It was a very wonderful job. And then it ended badly because somebody in power said that they wouldn't let him, Bob, they would not let Bob edit the
Oh
show.
wow.
That whoever they were going to edit the show. And he said, no, it's my show. I will edit it. And they said, no, sorry. And he said, goodbye.
Wow.
Well, I didn't do the show either. I mean, I didn't do the performance. I did the show, all the rehearsals until Bob quit, and then I left too.
Yeah. So interesting because that was echoed when we worked on Fosse the musical together. You were my accompanist through all of that. And then in the midst of all of that, when you'll remember the day, we had over 1,000 dancers at what was then the
Yes,
Ford Center, and they were ready to audition. And
yeah.
the producer, who shall
Final,
remain
the final
unnamed,
call.
it was what?
The final call. That was the final audition.
Yeah, exactly. And the producer, who I shall not name, went into the person who created the show and basically did what this other guy did to Bob. And when he then left, which I completely supported and understood, he took his score off the piano because he had the score of what was songs from every Bob Fosse show in the canon, and left and took it with him. And here we were with 1,000 dancers and no music to play for the combination. And you said to
And no
me,
dance captain.
and oh no,
He went too.
no, oh, right. Well, he did, yes, but Lainey and Brad
Oh, yes.
stepped up and they suddenly had to teach it, the whole thing for the
Right.
whole day, to 1,000 callbacks over the course of 10 hours. And you were at the piano, and I just looked at you because I sure didn't know what to do. And you said, just give me a minute, and it all just came out of your fingers for 10 hours. Every Fosse show you
Right.
played from memory for 10 hours.
Right. Fortunately, I've done that a long time. I'm not a good memorizer because I was a great sight reader and I was great at transposing. If you walked in there and said, most of the time I was good. I was bad with, for your ones with
Which one?
your shows. I did you saw me do it an audition, and she was going to sing uh, uh, like like something from South Pacific or something. I can't remember. I can't even remember. I know her name so well, and I lose it. But she said she wanted to do, let's say it was in C, and she said put it in F because I want to do. This is for ragtime.
Ah,
For
okay.
the old lady, the revolutionary.
For Emma Goldman.
Yes.
Emma,
So
was it Judy Kay? Or
Judy. Yes, Judy. So she
right.
said, "Oh, Sandy, just take it down, like a fourth or something." So fine. And I started playing the thing, and for some reason, my fingers wouldn't do F. It went to C because I've been playing that number since I was 8 years old or something. And it went to I couldn't stop it. And she looked at me while she's singing, and she looks at me and goes, "Who is this? Who is Campbell's evil twin sitting here?"
Well, the thing is that, and we need to clarify this, that would have been a very rare occurrence because
That's
I mean, people would come to the piano, and of course, at that point in theater history, every single actor knew you. And as soon as they walked in a room and you were at the piano, they just breathed a sigh of relief because
oh,
they know they could just tell you
oh,
this
thank God, it's Sandy. Oh,
totally. And I witnessed that thousands,
yeah,
literally thousands of times over the years we worked together, where actors would just come in the room and they'd see you there and it would be like, great. And
so,
they'd say something crazy like, here's Stephen Sondheim's getting married today, play it down a third. And you'd just
yeah,
be like, sure. and they just knew they could get away with anything, and they'd be totally supported. So of course, especially Judy, who you played for so
Wow.
many times, who would just turn to you and say, hit it, and start singing, that was always her big thing, right? She'd turn to the piano and say, hit it, and just begin, rather than like that awkward waiting thing. She just took control of the
Yeah,
room.
she
Two-time
was
Tony
great.
Award winner
Yeah,
Judy Kay, right?
yeah.
And yeah, and so that was very odd. And of course, you had enough of a relationship that when you were off that one time in a career that spans over 60 years,
Well, I've never
she was like,
forgotten.
what?
Obviously, I've never forgotten it,
Right, because it was so unusual. And of course,
and I just would, you know, it was so yeah.
well,
But
you
that
know what? If you were flawless, we wouldn't like you as much.
that's true. Fortunately,
You have to have some little less than perfection, something. Yeah, here's another favorite Sandy Campbell moment. Somebody came in and sang "In My Own Lifetime" from the Rothschilds, and then turned to you like surprised and just said, "You played that really, really well." And you smiled and said, "Thank you. I taught it to Hal Linden."
in Detroit, in the ladies' bathroom in Detroit. We were in Detroit for the out of town tryout for the Rothschilds,
Yeah.
and um, and Hal's character Rothschild died at the end of the first act, and they went, oh my, people were so unhappy. They loved the boys, the four sons, but they didn't like it that he was dead, so they had to keep him alive. So if they kept him alive in the second act, then they had to give him a song. So that's why they wrote "In My Own Lifetime," and that morning I met him in the bathroom at the theater, at the ladies' bathroom, which was an elegant room, and taught him. And they wrote it in C because they knew his voice, of course, by then.
Right.
And and the orchestrators were there, and they orchestrated it in C. They knew what needed to be done. It was already, and we put it in the show that afternoon.
Wow. So he learned the show and performed it like a few hours later.
He done the show. He just had to learn. He
Right.
can't.
Sorry. He learned that number.
He learned that number and whatever dialogue there was. But Hal is fearless.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know,
How
and able to,
glorious.
and looking. He made everything look easy.
Right.
Once in a while, I would see him on the television show when he was a cop on the television
Barney
show.
Miller. Sure.
He just made it look easy. It always, whatever that was, he had that skill with an audience. With
That's the secret for sure. Well, we're out of time for today, but I hope I can woo you back for just a few more, because there's more stories we want to hear. And thank you, the legendary Sandy Campbell. This is the legendary Sandy Campbell and the less legendary Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. And thank you for being here. And we hope to see you again.